Welcome to Well Coached, a podcast about how people, sales, profit, and self can transform your business. I'm your host, Chris Weinberg, and I have helped hundreds of entrepreneurs get into their highest productivity zone and become corporate enough to succeed. Let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, this is Well Coached, a podcast about how people, sales, profit, and self can transform your business. I'm Chris Weinberg, your host, and I have literally helped hundreds of entrepreneurs find their highest productivity zone, allowing them to become corporate enough to thrive, make some money, enjoy what they're doing, and grow their business. And today I'm so happy to have one of my good buddies, Katie, here. And I'll tell you a little bit about Katie. She's a wonderful psychotherapist, Enneagram expert, a writer, has developed a great little app platform, which we'll talk about as well, and fell in love with the Enneagram some years ago. She started out as an artist and music person, right? And had a good run there doing songwriting and performing and all that good stuff, and then found her way to the Enneagram, fell in love with it, and decided to put herself back in school and went and became a therapist, got all degreed up with that part, got her master's degree, got certifications in the Enneagram stuff, and has continued to be a great student of the game in that area and perfecting her skill set there and becoming a real authority in it, and watching that business take off has been great. So Katie, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. And
such a warm welcome.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I butchered that along the way pretty good.
No.
But Katie's, guys, for you out there, now we're talking a little bit about a solopreneur, right? So some folks build their business and they go try to build 1,000 people on the team, some one or two on the team, and then some super successful people are solopreneurs and they just have themselves on the team or one or two other people. And there are different routes to success for all kinds of people. Bigger is not always better. And both sides of those coins come with upsides and downsides. But if you've got an idea, if you're working on your own thing, it is totally okay to have a vision of just you doing your thing. If you've got the right support systems around you, you can certainly flourish. And we'll get into that. So, yeah. Tell me a little bit, Katie, about how you like to focus a lot of your practice on this Enneagram expertise that you've got. How did you even stumble into the Enneagram?
Well, first of all, thank you for letting me come on here and talk about something that I'm passionate about and won't shut up about, which is the Enneagram. You have definitely helped me take a tiny little lifestyle to a business.
Yeah.
So I love that you said that early on. You're like, Katie, we got to get you from a lifestyle to an actual business. And so that's what you've done. So I'm very grateful. The Enneagram is so special to me. I found it before I became a therapist. I was about 25. I was working for somebody at the time who kept talking in numbers, and I found it highly annoying. And I wanted to know exactly what she was talking about because she had already pegged me as a certain number. So I just started researching it and ordered all the books on it. And when I read more about my own type, which is a type 4 on the Enneagram, it was stunning. It unlocked so much for me and explained so much to me about me, which was like eerily cool.
Yeah.
And I just believe in it. So it sparked this interest, both in my own journey towards healing, but also mostly for other people's journeys and stories. And that's what I love. And I know you love that too. And it's what kind of makes you such an incredible coach, is you really know how to draw somebody's story out. And I think that is what the Enneagram helps us do. It helps us understand not only how we operate, but why we operate that way. And so I never looked back. I learned everything I could about the Enneagram. I went back to school to get a master's in counseling and did all the formal training, and I'm still here.
Did any of that master's training, Enneagram probably wasn't in any of that curriculum at all,
not
right?
at all.
But you went elsewhere to go find some of that.
I did. So I studied under Helen Palmer out at the Narrative Enneagram in Menlo Park, California. She is a legend in the Enneagram world. And in my opinion, it's the most prestigious, well-respected place to really get certified in Enneagram coaching and teaching.
Yeah. And that's so important too, because Enneagram, just like a lot of the other personality indicators or things out there, sometimes are being taught or used by non-experts, and that can just about be detrimental, right?
It's so true.
Yeah.
I'm sure you see this with DISC all the time. It's like, I feel like so many people read a book and, get a little cocky and start developing their own methods of using the Enneagram. And I love that confidence. I do think that it is such a remarkable system and tool that I really think should be honored in a way that requires you to get some formal training to really know how to use it and know how to teach it.
Yeah. Yeah. I just about see sometimes in the DISC world is sometimes folks will think they know it enough to where they just about weaponize it.
Totally.
And I bet that's the same for Enneagram too.
It's the same. It's totally the same. And especially because the Enneagram is unique in that it's just exploded in the last 10 years, especially on social media. Mm-hmm. So talk about weaponizing, mm-hmm. People, there's 1,000 memes for each Enneagram type that, really emphasizes kind of those optics of personality, how you like your coffee, how you like to Christmas shop, what kind of, sheets you buy. And so a lot of it just stays on the surface, which I think is really dangerous because it's a tool meant for transformation and application. Yeah. So when you just stay on the surface, you really miss out on the bulk of what this tool can help you do.
Yeah. Okay. You're a 4.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what does a 4 mean, and in that context, and as your work as a psychotherapist and an Enneagram coach, how does that, or does it help you create empathy and deep connections? Does you being a type 4 help you as you approach clients and onboard and figure out who you're going to work with, and does it help you inform your journey with those folks?
Yes. And I could talk for a long time, but I won't. I'm right next to you on the Enneagram.
I'm a 3.
You're a 3.
Right.
So I'm a 4 with a really strong 3 wing. And the 4 is called the romantic. So we are highly creative, sensitive, dramatic, moody.
I haven't noticed any of that.
Oh, Chris. I knew I'd get this. So it's kind of, it's nature nurture. It's really how we come in, but it's also a lot of our early childhood experience. I've always felt ever since I was very, very small, like I was different from the rest. I didn't quite fit in, and I was misunderstood. And that was troublesome and created a lot of isolation and depression really early on. And so I'd always had this real sensitivity and part of me that just felt separate. So, fast forward a couple decades, learning about the Enneagram, that when I read that type 4 description and it unlocked so much for me, I'm not kidding. It gave me almost like a permission slip to be who I was and not to just stay in that space of kind of this average or unhealthy behavior, but really to move beyond that and to develop tools to balance that out. So as a therapist, I feel like my type 4-ness is super helpful for that therapeutic alliance because nothing shocks me. I feel like I've been in the depths. We're very comfortable with kind of darker emotions and the whole spectrum of emotions. Those don't scare us. And so when I meet with a client, it's really easy for me to join with them. And I've gotten great feedback over the years, and it's not to my, it's not anything I do. I think it's the Enneagram that has helped me really be able to understand the 9 different types of personality that show up. So I can really join with people so easily. But yeah, the empathy piece is the water I swim in. I almost feel like I have to reel it in sometimes because I get so involved in a person's story to the point where I really want to help them. And so especially early on as a therapist, I had to learn how to kind of reel that in and create some boundaries around that empathy.
I bet. Yeah. Because being a feeler, you can just get right on their level and swim in whatever issue they're having instead of, I can totally see that. What about, can you share a success story or two about how you've seen the Enneagram maybe transform folks or clients in their personal or professional life?
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many. I feel like just high level on that, when we come to understand the inner workings of who we are and why we are that way, that self-understanding unlocks a lot of self-compassion. And so at the core of the work I do with every client is the Enneagram, and it's also self-compassion, because when we understand ourselves, we can relate to ourselves better because we have more compassion for ourselves. And that works, interpersonally as well in relationships. I was working, there's a recent story with a songwriter here in town and, successful songwriter. She's a type 3 and very blocked. And for so long, for her whole life, she's always been praised for what she did because she is so stinking good at everything she does. And so she got this message early on in childhood that people love me for what I do, not for who I am. And so in working with her and unpacking the story, we were able to kind of identify, wow, this narrative that I've been living out of for so long is absolutely not helping me right now because it's forcing me to put so much pressure on myself that I'm so contracted and so blocked creatively. And so really, really kind of working with her to bring some balance there and learn to soften those edges, learn to play a little bit, learn to develop some of these other parts of herself, this emotional part of herself that she's been kind of cut off from because emotions slow type 3s down and type 3s want to move real fast.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do. So this has been really kind of groundbreaking work for her. And as a result, her songs and her work and her artistry are thriving because she's been able to soften into more playfulness, more vulnerability, more honesty in her writing. And it's been really fun to watch and to just to hold space for that. Yeah.
What a gift. It's so, in addition to individuals, you do this with teams and team workshops. And talk to me about that. How do you design workshops for teaching the Enneagram? And then can you tell us any follow-up, maybe how did team dynamics change or improve afterwards?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I use this tool with couples. It's incredibly helpful with couples. With teams, that's part of what I'm loving right now is working with teams using the Enneagram because it's so effective. And what I love about it is, as with DISC, the most important indicator of success in your life, in your work, and in your relationships is self-awareness. And that trumps IQ and it trumps on-the-job experience. And the Enneagram is such a powerful tool to not only help people see kind of who they are and how they show up in the world and their personality, but again, why they show up that way. Kind of what's the story behind that? So, out of the gate, using this with a team, I love what Jim Collins says in Good to Great. It's all about putting the right person in the right seat on the bus. Yeah. And so using the Enneagram, you can identify, wow, this type 2 is working remotely from home and she is not interacting with anyone and her mental health is suffering. Well, let's look at why that is. It's because she is wired for relationships.
Yeah.
That is her superpower. And that's what she thrives in. And if she's not working in a capacity that allows her to move in that superpower, she's going to shut down. So it's amazing. It's just this beautiful map to where you can kind of move things around and see, gosh, you're in the wrong seat on the bus. I need to move you over here. And oh gosh, there's a hole in this team and there's some imbalance. So from a macro level, it really helps you to see kind of the team dynamics and what's not working.
Yeah.
But again, like with any individual, when you understand why you are the way you are and how you work and the language that you speak, it really unlocks more understanding and self-compassion and others' compassion. So you bring that into a team and you start to understand all the different languages and all the different stories in that team. And what do? You get a lot more compassion for each other. You get a whole lot more cohesion and flow. So it just, on a relational level, and a culture level, it just elevates everything. I think it just creates more flow. And you and I both know that is just a recipe for success.
Yeah.
You have to have that. So I love following up with teams and seeing just all the ways that people have kind of been unlocked in their different superpower or unique strengths that were not, weren't even known before working with the Enneagram.
Yeah.
It really does kind of shed light on what's working, what's not working, and it gives you a roadmap, kind of how do we tweak this? And how do we get the right people in the right places?
Yeah, that's so important. The understanding yourself part is everything. And I often say that folks are typically in a job because they're pretty good at their skill set, but how they show up and interact with each other is totally different. That can't be found in a manual, right? We're turning on the light at 9 a.m. That can be found in a manual, but how to interact with different personalities is, and even understanding yourself is a big deal. And that was a great point about some people are geared for remote work and some people aren't. And there's your sign, dummy. You're not supposed to be at home.
Totally.
Right.
Even go to a coffee shop, just be around other humans.
Yeah. I think that wires for me. I mean, during COVID, when nobody was seeing anybody, it would have driven me off a cliff if I didn't have the Nashville City Club, which was I was able to go there every day.
Yeah.
And, otherwise, that I would have been that person. I would have been that person going nuts.
Absolutely.
So, one thing I failed to mention in the beginning is that you're a cancer survivor, and man, you just took us right in the butt. and I'm interested to know, throughout that journey and then post that journey, has that changed the way or informed the way you look at clients or colleagues or how you approach it? Has that added anything to your bag of tricks or not?
Oh, on every level. I think it's just...
Yeah, first of all, just let me say to the crowd here, she got diagnosed with cancer, and I'm telling you, it was just from the word go, like it was just not even that big a deal. She just kicked its tush right to the, I mean, there's a book in and of itself, and that you dealt with this massively life-altering, life-threatening illness, and I know that your positive mentality is a lot of what got you through it. And so anyway, share about that a little bit.
Thank you for saying that. And I love that you were right there every step of the way.
I mean, you really didn't blink. I mean, you just did not blink. I mean, half the time when you were going through that journey, I forgot you were going through that journey because you just kept showing up. And anyway.
I think there's a degree of adrenaline that just kicks in when you're in survival that, does its own work. Yes, cancer has changed me, and I'm so grateful that it has, because especially with clients, I feel like I'm able to be so much more present with them. So much more present. It's like you get this, life-altering diagnosis and time stops. Right. It's like you don't care about anything you used to care about. All you care about is staying alive and staying healthy and getting to the next day and being there for the people you love.
Yeah.
So I think just the element of presence that I have gleaned since that experience, and just humility. It's a humbling road to walk. It's a humbling thing to go through chemo and, lose your hair and lose your energy and just there's just a lot of loss there.
Yeah.
And so you're met face to face with just the fragility of life, which is so humbling.
Yeah.
And so I think it really has centered me in gratitude and, given me just new eyes to see these beautiful souls that I get to work with every day.
Yeah.
And really to vend hope even more, to be there and say from a place of authority, just because of that really scary, scary time. Like,
you can walk the talk when you're encouraging or pulling people through.
That's right.
When you're riding beside people, you're an experienced coach in a lot of difficult areas.
Yeah.
And that's huge credibility and something I'm sure people admire the heck out of you for. Let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about marketing principles. You've got several things going on in your life. You've got your client core base, which has been your domain expertise and what got you to the place of wanting to share it with larger audiences. So you maintain a really healthy roster of one-on-one help. And now you've got this Enneagram side of your life, which is coaching and workshops, whether that's individual or in companies. You're in the middle of writing your first book, which is amazing. And then you've got this really cool app called The Practice, which is, I'll let you explain it, but basically pushing the Enneagram out for everyday use to people that want to participate in it, right? Is that in a nutshell? So talk a little bit about how are you juggling all that, and what's been the most effective things for you in terms of marketing? And letting people know you exist.
Well, hiring you, Chris.
Well, thanks, Katie. And that's it for today's show, everybody.
Oh, no, I mean, it's been such a grassroots effort. I've always had this entrepreneurial bug in me. I've never just wanted to be a therapist. I think coming from, the music world and being, an artist before going to school to become a therapist, I just love communicating. I love innovating. I love creating. I love impacting. And so I wanted to take the individual work that I was doing with clients using the Enneagram, and I wanted to make that available for people through everyday practices using the Enneagram. So I started the practice. You helped me launch that. The marketing for all of this, I feel like, there's so many balls in the air and I'm dropping them all the time. And I know it's just, that's the gig, right? Yeah. That's just what happens. Yeah. So I don't know that I've really learned how to do it well yet. It's still, we're still in the baby stages of all of this stuff. However, I do think social media has been probably the most effective strategy for marketing. Email marketing has been really, really awesome. And I think just being able to share from stages at a workshop or podcasts or, word of mouth has also just been so helpful in these baby stages. Yeah.
So let me speak to a couple of those things before I forget them. So you mentioned you used to be an artist and used to being on stages. So therefore you have an instant, and we talk about this team out there, transferable skill sets, right? So she has this background of performance and making people like to connect with people and make people happy by being on a stage and sharing. And that is an absolute transferable skill set into coaching workshops, coaching on a stage, being on a podcast. So the point there is that everybody's got a transferable skill set. So if you never have to feel stuck in life, like if you're stuck in something you're not like doing, that doesn't mean that same skill set can't transfer into another happiness path for your life. The other thing is that she mentioned is grassroots. We all do that, right? So when you start a business and you're kind of getting a little bit of traction, you want to get to the next thing. None of us have any money early on. We got a grassroots. We get from one day to the next, and we sometimes grow at the speed of which cash allows us and making decisions. And you talk about how you're still figuring it out. Guess what? Out there in podcast land, everybody's still figuring it out, right? And so it's okay to have this mentality of failing forward, right? You test fast, fail fast, adjust fast, because the persistence is what eventually will get you there.
Yeah.
So most people quit too soon,
right?
And trying new things, and plus the social media game changes every single freaking day of what you're supposed to be doing. And so I think the grit and the resilience of continuing to go is what continues to drive you forward. And one thing Katie's done really well and this is a good tidbit for everybody, she's maintained her core business, which when she started as a therapist, although that may not be her life's mission at the end of the day, I bet she'll never let go of that totally, because that's the one-on-one connection. That's how you continue to hone your skill set. And that very successful part of the business has allowed you to branch off into other things.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's a good entrepreneurial story. So
yeah, and the high I in me, as I've learned working with you, working with DISC and putting it together with the Enneagram, I think that the real work has been the grind, has been staying in the grind and not just, kind of getting bored or wanting the next shiny thing. It's really staying the course and having that accountability and, keeping the faith when it does seem like, there's not a lot of momentum. That's been the hard thing for me.
Yeah. And that's good stuff too, because oftentimes you have to create your own momentum when there is none.
That's right.
And with your Enneagram type 4, I know this for sure with your DISC type, which is high I, lots of things look attractive.
Yeah.
So staying focused on the thing or the few things is difficult because you're a believer. Your types are believers that anything is possible, which is beautiful. What a beautiful way to live. Like from a DISC perspective, I don't know Enneagram as deeply as I should or you, but from your DISC perspective, you see the world in abundance, which is beautiful. What a beautiful thing, right? Most people don't see the world in abundance. So you see everything is possible.
Yeah.
Therefore, let's go do everything.
Yeah.
And that's difficult, right? It's difficult to become a domain expertise of everything. So what you've allowed us to do is focus on 3 or 4 things, right?
Yeah.
Not 50 things. And each one just keeps getting a little better because we're able to, with Katie, guys, what I try to work with her on is allow her enough creative rope because I couldn't stifle that anyway, right? So enough creative rope to go, let's go try new things. But how are these the most pragmatic things to do in terms of building the business? And yeah, that journey's been wonderful.
Yeah, it has. It's been fun, and it keeps it interesting.
Yeah. And your grit is you always had it, but I'm sure going through the cancer stuff just put grit times 10 on you too. Yeah. Like you just don't give up, and that's another thing that lots of people give up on their dream before it comes to fruition, and you don't have any quit in you. So keep going.
Is that grit? Is that also known as stubbornness?
Yeah. That's the nicer word. Yeah, the word of the day is grit. I think the non-politically correct word would be stubbornness. Yeah. Right. So but both of those are amazing. How do you get when you run up in terms of building trust with clients? You've got this high I and your 4, which for us means trust very fast. We give trust away really quick. I've got some I in my DISC profile too. How do you run up on clients who may not have that? How do you blend your style to folks when you recognize they might have a harder shell or the journey for them opening up might be a little bit longer? How does that work?
I think the Enneagram really shines in that dilemma because I have every single person that I work with take the Enneagram. Okay, that was going to be one of my questions. Is that one of your inbound? That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Like if you kind of apply to work with me, one of the first things I'm going to get you to do is take the Enneagram before we even meet. And so right out of the gate, like I know how you operate to a degree. Yeah. I mean, because, we're all unique in our type, but I know the landscape.
Right.
Which really helps to build trust. I mean, it just, and that, again, that is such the beauty of the Enneagram. It really gives you a language to speak that might not be, your mother tongue, but it really, that other person's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see me and you get me. And that feels good. Yeah. I love it because it's not, the Enneagram isn't just about you, just about your journey, just about, your development. It's a relational tool. And so to be able to use it in therapy and to be able to use it in coaching is a no-brainer because it helps you join with your client.
You can meet them where they are.
So quickly, quickly. But I think, also, without the Enneagram, just self-awareness, having the self-awareness to understand like this person, there's some resistance here. And so it's going to take a little bit more time to kind of crack that nut and get to a place where you've earned the right for them to open up and be vulnerable with you.
Yeah, that's good. Let's talk about staying in business a little bit. You're a creative type for sure. And a lot of folks I work with are creative types who sometimes don't care about the money, right? They just care about helping people or chasing their journey and their dream and all that. But at the same time, it's a business. To our point, it's a lifestyle versus a business. And having a lifestyle business is okay, but I think where your hopes and dreams are a little bit bigger than that, right? Lifestyle business to me would mean individual therapy work. You got a good thing going. You can sustain your lifestyle and help people. Lifestyle business. Real business means, okay, now we're going to find some other lanes to grow that are going to take different resources and things like that. How do you navigate balancing your passion for helping other people with also the need to run a profitable business?
Can I pass?
You can.
No. I'm kidding.
It's spoken like a true creative.
Again,
right?
That's why I hired you.
And there's beauty in that. I mean, there's beauty in saying, man, my driver here is just to go make an impact.
Yeah.
That's totally fine.
Well, I think I have a healthy bit of both. I mean, the passion part absolutely outweighs the practical part.
Yeah.
There's very little practicality in my type 4-ness. And I knew that early on, which is why I really developed my 3-wing, which is very practical. And that's, again, part of the work we do with the Enneagram. It's really bringing balance where there's imbalance. So in my type, there was just all this airy-fairy, head in the clouds dreamer. And I know that you can't get very far with that. I can't, feel my way to a deadline. So I had to kind of find that edge of the type 3. And so I really think that's part of my late bloomerness, developing that practical side where I really do want to grow a business. And it's not just all about the passion. I mean, the passion has to be there. And the mastery has to be there. You have to be good at it and feel like you're good at it. But you really have to believe in it.
Yeah.
And that's always been there. But this other part, this other edge, you've really helped me develop and kind of course correct when I get too loosey-goosey or, too squishy. And I feel like you've really helped me kind of stay the course, while giving me the room to explore the creative parts of what I do and the passion project of what I do.
Yeah.
So it's such a balance. It's very imperfect, and I'm really learning a lot, especially in this season, because I am at a stage where I'm kind of a lot of things are starting to move and starting to fly. And so I'm really needing to develop more of that. So maybe that's our next coaching session.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's called People, Sales, Profit, Self, right? Yeah. Most people are really naturally great at one of them, sometimes great at 2, never at 4. And so we're just always shoring it up because to your point, there's some people who are digit heads who don't have a good idea.
Yeah.
Right. And so everybody's got something.
Yeah.
And that's why you partner up with coaches or books or something to help you.
Yeah.
To help shore up blind spots. I think it's beautiful that creatives don't care that much about money. I think it's just the funniest thing because I was not raised that way.
Yeah.
Right. And so we all admire something that we don't have naturally. So, and really, the profit part of the business is always the easiest one to figure out because it's just numbers. They don't have any feelings.
Yeah.
Where the rest of your life, everything is around feelings. The people you're connecting with, the people you're working through, your own background, it is a feelings, emotion-based driver. And then all of a sudden, you got this hard number sitting over here. But the beauty of the number is it's not going to talk back to you. It's not going to give you an ulterior motive. It just is what it is.
Right. It's pretty static.
It's just pretty static.
But I do like really cute shoes.
Yeah, well, and that can be a motivator.
That is my motivator, and it always has been.
That can be a motivator. There's no doubt that, and that's another good lesson. You have to have ways to celebrate.
Yeah.
Right? And a good day can mean a good pair of shoes or whatever it is for you going on the next vacation. Someone I was working with yesterday, and she's had a very, very difficult couple of years financially, but has come out of it, right? And she's had this 3-year thing about wanting to go to London with her husband. Yesterday in our session, the only thing we did was book her trip to London. I made her do it. I said, we're doing it. You've got 3 great months of runway here. We're hitting a high. You got to celebrate your success. Awesome. You're going, right? People, sales, profit, self. You've got to go nurture those parts and enjoy victories, even if they're even if they're small
That's
ones.
so great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So you got a lot going on. The psychotherapist part, the Enneagram coach, writer, you're a wife, you're a mother. What are some tactics you use to keep yourself sane and balanced around all of those?
Caffeine and wine.
Okay. in that order or not?
I don't know. I'm very day to day.
Situational.
No, the thing that keeps me tethered is self-care.
Okay.
And that is part.
What does that look like for you?
For me, it looks like waking up really early as I can, before everybody else, and getting in my morning pages.
Okay. What are your morning pages? What is that?
Morning pages is one of my favorite practices. I learned it 20 years ago. Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way.
Okay.
She talks about morning pages, and basically it is just a morning brain dump. It's getting everything, all the noise, all the cobwebs, all the, laundry lists and to-dos, and it's putting it on a piece of paper, 3 pages to be precise, and then it's leaving it. It's never going back to it. It's not editing it. It's just whatever comes out. And it's such a clarifying practice for me. So sometimes I feel like I have to write before I can actually think for the day. So writing. And then exercise is a huge part of my self-care. Movement, mindful movement, really connecting to body helps me process all that's going on in my life. Meditation is a big thing for me. I can't always get all these things in, because it's, kids, you've got a little one too. But I do my best to show up for as many as I can. And that, if I can be consistent in that, it gives me the bandwidth to just take it all on. And it's very imperfect. But I do feel like, self-care allows me to do a whole lot more than I would do if I weren't practicing self-care. So it's really having a morning ritual. That's been a big thing for me for decades. Yeah,
that's so good. And so oftentimes entrepreneurs don't have a self-care routine. And if you're out of that balance of that people, sales, profit, self, if you are not fine-tuned or at least working on being fine-tuned in self, the business is going to suffer. Doesn't mean the business is going to close, but it's never going to maximize if your head's not in the right space.
Totally.
And exercise is basically a cure-all.
It is.
For sure. Meditation for a lot of folks is the thing, journaling, whatever it is. I think the point is have something. Have something that you can fall back to that is outside of the confines of the 4 walls of the business to balance you out, which is great.
And also, I think really finding a balance, it's so easy for entrepreneurs to just live in their businesses and never kind of detach in a healthy way.
Yeah.
It's like pay attention to what you pay attention to, right? Well, entrepreneurs are all of their attention is on their business.
Yeah.
So that shows you all the things that you're missing as well.
Right.
And so I think it's being like observing your process, being a student of your process and your experience in a way that allows you to see, man, there's a big hole over here. My relationships are suffering. My marriage is not getting, the attention it needs to.
Mm-hmm.
My health is, my energy is really sluggish.
Yeah.
It's being able to notice where there's imbalance and asking for help from people around you, whether that's a therapist, a coach, a trainer, to kind of bring some more balance in.
Yeah.
I think that asking for help has been a big thing for me that I've resisted, but cancer has forced me to do that, ask for help.
Yeah. Really, that cancer ended up being a blessing for you, didn't it?
It did.
It's a very difficult time that you kicked its tail, but the lessons and the rewiring of the brain a little bit,
sure.
Your perspective on life is probably much healthier, I bet.
Yeah, it is. I think it's more realistic too.
Yeah. And it makes you so relatable to anybody going through anything.
Yeah.
Because you've had tough days.
Yes.
So and the beauty of your profiles, Enneagram and DISC, is that you can weather storms and come back smiling. Mm-hmm. Not everybody can do that. That's a gift, and so well done, mom and dad.
Yeah.
Right. Well done, mom and dad.
Totally.
Tell me a little bit about the book. So you got this book coming out. What's it about?
Oh, it's part memoir. It's part Enneagram self-help.
Okay.
So a lot of Enneagram books focus on like type by type Enneagram exploration. And I come at it as a client I've been in more therapy than Woody Allen over the years. So I come at it from that angle. I come at it from, someone who's credentialed and sits in that therapist seat. But I use my life story to really explain concepts within the Enneagram and give you practical tools on how to use it in your everyday life and your everyday practice. That's a really big shtick for me, is how do you put the Enneagram to use in your life, in your work, and in your relationships. And so I hope that anyone who reads this book is going to really come away with some of that.
Does it have a title yet?
It does, but I don't want to say it.
Okay, too soon.
It's really good, though.
Okay, so probably next year we can look forward to that book.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. And then the practice, a couple of minutes on what is it and how do people get to it?
So the practice is my online membership program that combines the Enneagram with self-care, and it gives you kind of a daily, weekly prescription on how to use the Enneagram in your life and in your self-care. You can sign up at my website, katiegustafson.co. It's just a really great way to take some therapeutic tools and take some Enneagram tools and to put them to work so that, I often see that so many people make a lot of progress in therapy and they have these big ahas, but then they get out into the weeds of life and they forget everything, right? And so that's why practice is so important. And that's why I called it the practice. Yeah. And so it's all about putting these tools into practice in your everyday life. And really creating some rhythms that help you succeed, that set you up for success. So
it's a tool they can walk with every day. Instead, they may have anchors in the schedule with their practitioner, but this is a way that can be in their pocket.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. And fine tune along the way. That's fantastic. That's awesome.
So it combines things like meditation.
Okay.
Every week you get a new meditation. You get 7 journal prompts for each day of the week. You get a video teaching. I do a teaching every week that kind of breaks out one element of the Enneagram or self-care. There's expert interviews on there. There's panels that you can learn about different types. There's meditations for your type. There's all kinds of tools. There's a yoga room that you can go. I do not do the yoga. I mean, I don't teach the yoga. I'm not a yoga instructor, but I have incredible instructors that have kind of been filmed and upload all their stuff onto the dashboard so you can even move with us. It's just this really holistic tool to use for your own self-care, to learn the Enneagram.
Fantastic. And then finally, another little shameless plug, you and I are going to be doing a workshop together on clashing disc and Enneagram together.
That's right. I
Is
cannot
it September
wait.
20th?
September 20th.
Yeah, September 20th at the Nashville City Club.
Yep.
And people can see it now. It's up live on your site?
Yes, it's on my site. Yeah. You can go to my website and sign up for that. And I can't wait because I love, I didn't know anything about DISC before I met you and started working with you. All I knew was Enneagram. And so you've helped me understand kind of so much more to, personality by, and I think DISC is so conducive for working with teams. Yeah. And so I've been able to kind of steal some from you through DISC and also, use the Enneagram. So I cannot wait to put those together and see how they can play together. Yeah, they're great tools and they're both wonderful. And I can't wait to do that. That's going to be fun. So guys, if you want to dive more into Enneagram and DISC together and see how they are separate but can be equal in a lot of ways, we'd love to see you down there at the City Club. But Katie, thanks a ton. This was great. Thank you. And guys, she's a testament to you can absolutely get out there and go do your thing. And whatever your domain expertise is does not mean that
you're stuck there. You can hold on to that, but continuing to be a student of the game and continually fine-tune your craft allows you to expand, and that can be at the speed of whatever you need it to be. But having grit is the number one thing in business. Lots of people have great ideas. Most people give up too soon. Yeah. And she has shown that you can get through tough times, because tough times are going to happen. Like, everybody's going to go through tough times. Some people have resilience to get through that better than others, and you did it and continue to do it. So well done. And thanks for being here today.
So much. This has been awesome.
Okay, that's it, team. See you next time. Well, guys, that's a wrap for today. We thank you a ton for listening and looking forward to the next episode, where we'll continue this journey on how becoming corporate enough can put you in your highest productivity zone to create a successful, profitable, and purpose-driven business for you.